Are we ready for a new social contract within countries and between countries?
A new social contract is central to our long-term mission.
Toward a new social contract.
Every generation expands its definition of equality. Previous generations fought for the vote and civil rights. They had the New Deal and Great Society. And now it's time for our generation to define a new social contract.
Nowadays, a much heard phrase everywhere is, "We need a new social contract." Sometimes it seems like everyone is talking about this. We can find this term on many websites, such as the World Health Organization, the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, the Global Governance Project, the International Monetary Fund, and others. But what does this term actually mean? I have checked a few internet resources that everyone can easily find. I have linked sources that I found below so that you can check them out. Of course, it would be better to use a search engine and see what you can find for yourself. On IDEA, I read, "A social contract is an implicit agreement between the people and their government about what each side provides to the other. The terms of the agreement can vary widely." On Ethics Unwrapped, I read, "Social contract theory says that people live together in society in accordance with an agreement that establishes moral and political rules of behavior." On the Wikipedia, I read, "In moral and political philosophy, the social contract is an idea, theory, or model that usually, although not always, concerns the legitimacy of the authority of the state over the individual. Conceptualized in the Age of Enlightenment, it is a core concept of constitutionalism, while not necessarily convened and written down in a constituent assembly and constitution." Social contract theories originate from the thought that any agreement between people is a form of a contract. Although social contracts do not require a signature, they simply require some form of interaction. A simple example can be that people do not generally place their feet on seats because the next person sitting there will not enjoy the dirt from shoes to end up on their clothes. Or that children follow their parents' rules because the parents pay for their living arrangement. However, at the same time, the parents sometimes have to amend the rules because their children rebel against unfair oppression. Similarly, social contract theories in philosophy try to describe the rules in societies and the legitimacy of them, should they have to be amended. Historically, the philosopher Thomas Hobbes in his book Leviathan and the philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau in his book Le Contrat Social are the most named for their efforts in describing social contract theories. Thomas Hobbes describes a state of nature in which a war of all against all takes place and a sovereign king emerges as the head of a body of men, placed there by God. Rousseau, on the other hand, describes an original position where noble savages are sovereign and decide on leaders in order to combat the perils of the chaotic world outside. Both hinge on the cooperation of the population, and only in part are these social contracts written down in laws. Some parts are just customs or works in progress, making do. Social contracts can be about a country, city, neighborhood, or even just a household. When spoken of the social contract, the encompassing social contract is meant, the one for the entire country or continent or world. Again, this kind of contract or agreement does not require a signature, but is upheld by the population's compliance. The only way to show disagreement with such rules in society is to be like rebelling teenagers. Non-compliance to a situation that is unacceptable. Civil disobedience is the only way to show a certain state of affairs is unacceptable, short of a factual revolution. Both civil disobedience and revolution are part of the social contract because of the fact that the social contract is the embodiment of the population's combined opinion and will. But what is this new social contract all about? In all references, the new social contract is referred to as a more fair world. And this is then related to the 17 social development goals. However, the strange thing to me is that the social contract already includes fairness and equality and all that. So then, what is it that requires all of these worldwide organizations to tell the population of the world that a new social contract is needed, if the social contract has formed by means of the balance of wills of that same population? It is more these worldwide organizations forcing a change that the worldwide population will have to react to, perhaps an expression of the war of all against all that Hobbes was talking about. The very meaning of the term social contract is that the social contract is that what the state of affairs will be after the worldwide population has finished reacting to the change made by those organizations and 17 social development goals. My guess is that this will amount to the very same that it has always been, a fair and open society with protection of the population from crime and oppression by human rights and laws. This is, quite simply, the condition of the human species. And that makes the usage of the phrase new social contract beforehand manipulative and possibly even a way of implied dictatorial force, precisely in the mentioned social development goals.
So he says this speech earlier this year, an interview. He says that we're going to rewrite the social contract. He says this again and again. But he says specifically this time, we're going to rewrite the social contract so that society accepts as we move from an economy of production and consumption to an economy, and I kid you not, Jordan, of caring and sharing.
If you like this video, please like and subscribe below.